Hello everybody and welcome back to Middle-earth in the 4th Age. This is Count MR VHS, and today we are starting a series looking at the Kingdom of Rhovanion for the 4th Age Total War Dominion of Men. Rhovanion in this period is imagined as an upstart kingdom that is kind of a hodgepodge of, well, it's got some influences from the Easterlings, as we will see shortly, but primarily it is, of course, a Northmen faction. It, as you might expect from the faction icon and from the unit here, it is a somewhat cavalry-focused faction, but it really only gets 2 or 3, if you count the bodyguard, units of cav. It has really more of a skirmish focus, and as such, it has a very idiosyncratic military and a very difficult starting position, making it one of the most challenging campaigns in the mod. In fact, in the recent video on challenging factions in 4th Age Total War, I believe I ranked Rhovanion as the second hardest, right below North Rune. So today I want to look at some potential starts for Rhovanion, and we're going to give some of these a try and see if any of them pan out. But before we get to the campaign screen, I want to take a look at the custom battle options, because this is going to give you some hints as to what is available on the campaign map for Rhovanion. Apart from its native roster, we have some units that are available in certain locations, and this will give us some indication of where we might want to go. So when I mentioned the Easterlings earlier, that was a reference to this Vassal Axemen unit. These guys are essentially the Tier 2 Axemen available to Rune. They are available in Easterling provinces, so as soon as you get, like, I guess in line with the Sea of Rune on a sort of a north-south axis, you will be able to train Vassal Axemen. So they're a few provinces away, but not too bad. And they have a decent attack, decent defense, and the option for Warcry, which improves their attack quite a bit. So this is a good unit if we're going to go east. Going to the northeast of our starting position, we will find Rhovanion Watch, an extremely powerful unit, and this will actually give us something resembling a line. Our other native infantry troops are limited just to basically 2. We've got Rhovanion Spearmen at Tier 1, and we've got Axemen at Tier 2. This unit here is absolutely fantastic, and so it'll be something we will want to get if we go towards Belligant, which is the capital of the Rhovanion faction. Also fairly close to home are these mountain guards. These can be found in dwarven settlements, and there is one right to the east of our starting position. Nerig Zigil is the dwarven settlement just to the southwest of the Sea of Rune, and if we take it, then we can eventually train mountain guards. I say eventually. It takes a very, very long time to get to them. You have to convert the population to Manish. You have to basically kick all the dwarves out, bring a bunch of men in, and make the place suitable for Manish living, essentially. So it'll take a very long time before we can even train these guys. They're fairly expensive, but on the other hand, Nerig Zigil is a pretty good province once you get it upgraded. So it might be worth a quick strike to get to these guys. Straight to the north, we can find Retainer Longbowmen. This is across the River Running in the lands occupied by Dale. Since Dale is such a threat to Rhovanion, it might make sense to head there early, and that's usually my preferred route when playing as Rhovanion. I basically ignore every other settlement except Dale itself and just get close to a full stack army up there and hope for the best. When it works, it works. When it doesn't, you've essentially lost the campaign. Since I've already tried that strategy, I won't be trying that on this playthrough, so we will probably not see these guys for a very long time. Located just to the west of your starting position, just to the west of our capital, we'll find Rhovanion Rangers in the Brownlands. This is a unit that is unique to us, although there is a mercenary variant you can train in a couple of places right near our starting position. This is a very strong unit, and so it's going to not only augment our kind of skirmish focus, sort of an upgraded version of these Rhovanion Foresters, but it's also decent in melee, and it's something that we can train with some upgrades to an otherwise fairly small and featureless province. The only problem with going towards mid-deeping is that it is really just about at the center of the map, and a lot of other factions want in on it. So that's going to affect how we view the value of this unit. And last, across the Anduin, westward, we will find Retainer Scouts. I have never trained this unit. These are horse archers that you can find in Rohan's territory. They're essentially the Rohirrim Scouts, or there's another name given to them for when you can train them in Rohan's roster. But this is a nice augmentation of our cavalry roster. Typically, we get the Rhovanion Scouts. At Tier 3, we get Rhovanion March Wardens, and our bodyguard is a unit of Rhovanion Nobles with javelins as well as spears. So having some long-ranged cav with our other light and hard-hitting cav would be a really interesting approach and would make us much more viable in the saddle. With all that in mind, let's jump to the campaign map. Again, we're playing on the recommended difficulty settings of decidedly Tookish for the campaign, Bull Roaring for the battles. I'll see you there. So here we are at the beginning of the campaign for Rhovanion. It is always a challenge to decide what direction to go first, because there's so many needs that you have for this particular faction, which makes it really interesting. On that difficult factions video I did, I ultimately decided that North Rune was a bit harder, but I think in some ways Rhovanion has harder decisions to make. And again, that's because you have lots of problems. You have problems of needing to shore up a bad economy. You have strategic problems because there's basically no good borders to your territory, at least in your initial setup. And you also have problems in terms of your roster. If we take a look at that for a moment, we can see that at our capital, we can train the first 2 tiers of military development, which gives us most notably Rhovanion Scouts, Rhovanion Hunters, and Rhovanion Foresters for some cav, some long-range archery, and some short-range skirmish ability. We also have some Tier 1 and Tier 2 infantry, but these guys are really not going to form a center of our battle line, so we're going to mostly be relying on skirmish and cav charges. That means we're going to want to shore that up somehow, either by going further down the line into skirmish by heading north and getting those retainer longbowmen, or by heading west and getting the Rhovanion Rangers, or even further west and getting those horse archers in Rohan's territory. Of course, all of these options present difficulties, so we're going to have to make a decision as to where we go first. Compounding the difficulties of that decision are the fact that Rhovanion does get a couple of options that are not often noted. And I may not have mentioned this in my Rhovanion campaign guide either, but we have the option to build 2 different cultural conversion buildings. That means we can work with a couple of different alignments. Now, unlike factions such as Dunland, Rune, Harad, and Adunabar, we do not get a completely different roster if we build enough of one or the other type of cultural alignment buildings. However, this does bring us a nice little advantage. It means that if we invade, say, into Easterling territory, where there is lots of barbarian cultures, we can easily integrate into this territory by building this line of buildings. We don't need to worry about getting lots of unrest by building Ways of the West type buildings. And these buildings are very important. The cultural conversion buildings give experience to units, lots of income bonuses, growth bonuses, and so on. So getting to get these nice bonuses no matter where we're going in the immediate neighborhood is actually quite a nice advantage. However, that said, I think what I'd like to try this time is the dwarves first. We're going to be attacking the dwarven outpost of Nereg Zigil. So let's get a spy down here and see how that looks. What I'm expecting is some initial tough dwarven units. They have a couple of hireling mannish units here as well, but not too much. And so if we can quickly assemble some cavalry and some other skirmish units, then we might have a shot at it. The earlier we get this, the more likely we are to get it built up to the point where we can train those mountain guards and get some nice economy as well as a stronghold badly needed on this side of our realm. So let's go to our economy and let's get all of this going. As usual, I'm going to go for low taxes everywhere. I know that kind of seems counterintuitive, but we need to decide, we need to get good governors, and part of that has to do with their opinion of liege trait. Currently, since it's the very first turn, they're all going to be displaying as supportive, but that's going to change, probably for the worse. And one way you can work it up is by giving the governors kind of control over their own territory, or lowering the taxes everywhere. That's another thing that can improve the authority of your faction leader. Since he is both competent at governing and commanding, we may use him for some fighting to conquer some territory. But let's look at the other governors. Okay, he's a competent commander, so more of a general. And he's an adept governor. So I think maybe this is the guy that we will use to attack the dwarves. Also notable among the people of Rhovanion, you get this potential subculture, man of Easterling descent. So it does further solidify this as a mixed culture faction, which is maybe not immediately obvious. But let's get some training going here. We don't have a lot of cash, but we're going to need to spend it. We also don't have any emissaries at the beginning of the campaign, so we may as well train one from Arab Gobel. And here we'll get some cavalry. And I think I want to send pretty much everybody useful over into the east. The reason I don't want to go west first, at least on this attempt, is because this tends to attract a lot of attention from factions such as Adunabar, the Bjornings, potentially Rohan. And so we have a few turns, I think, before this becomes a really dangerous frontier. And also our capital, Rhovanost, has pretty decent wooden walls, so we may be able to defend it, and we can certainly train our best units out of here as well. Whereas on this side of the realm, I do want to shore up our initial starting position. And since he's not really good, let's go ahead and take him out. That'll improve our income there quite a bit, and also get us in the neighborhood of some mercenaries here. May as well bring these guys closer together. Now up here, I think, yeah, we'll send down the cav, but probably leave the archers. They're not going to make much of a dent in the dwarven armor anyway. Alright, any building we want to do? We're actually not doing too bad in terms of economy just yet. Since we're going to leave him as the governor of Arab Gobel, actually, you know what? Let's not. Let's bring him down, and he will be the governor of Nereg Zagil. We need a really good governor there, and he's probably going to be doing some fighting as well. So we'll bring him down, and he'll join forces there. What we're doing at this point is basically just hoping that Dale doesn't attack us. I know that's not a great strategy, but it's kind of what you have to do as Rhovanion. You don't have a lot of choice in the matter. So for a first build, we probably don't need consultation just yet. Oh, actually we do. So I think that's what we'll do here. This will allow us to go with the open policy, which means that we'll be able to eventually build all of these things that are currently grayed out. So that'll allow us to get our highest tier units. In Yathinra, it's a little too early to go with consultation here because we haven't built the urban province yet. So I'm not really feeling the need to do too much else. Although, actually, let's go with the muster fields. And up here, should probably go with control posts. That's going to hurt what we've got for money, but if the Dwarven campaign pays off, then we should be all set in that regard. All right, we have a suitable husband, and I'm going to take him, even though he's not very good. Okay, let's see where he is. In Rhovanost. Very good. We'll get him alongside the other cavalry unit. And we will keep our eyes on more mercenaries because the mercenary pool may refresh. Alright, so now we're actually at more than a half stack. Let's see what the dwarves have. Alright, they've got a hireling unit outside. This is hireling guards, which are pretty good, but I think my odds of defeating them are pretty good as well. And in Nereg Zagil, we have the family member, we've got a unit of hireling spears, and we've got a unit of dwarven ballistas. That's it. So if we go there very quickly, then we could be able to we could take this pretty easily. Let's see. The dwarves are at war with North Rune and with Rune, so we may have the opportunity to ally with those Easterlings. Let's get the emissary going. Before we do that, maybe we can do some kind of trickery with Dale. See if they'll pay for trade. Ask for 3,000. And they give it to us. All right, alliance. Will they pay for that? We're asking for 1,500, and they give us that as well. Awesome. Now, when we go to war with the dwarves, that's probably going to mess that up. If we attack the dwarves, I'm not sure what Dale's going to do. They may decide, they may just break the alliance, because the dwarves and Dale are kind of like the Roman factions in the vanilla game in terms of how their alliances fit together. But at any rate, we got some money off of them. We're theoretically trading. Even if they don't stay allied with us, then we may stay neutral to them and get the benefit of that trade. Let's see how much that is. So with that trade agreement, we're making an extra 50 or 60 Mirian per turn. So that's not bad. And we can actually do some more building here. We'll go with the open policy here, and then I guess we have to wait everywhere else. Since we literally can't train anything else up here, I guess we'll sit tight there. But it might be good to make an emissary to go somewhere else, just for scouting purposes.
Captain. Sir. Forward. I'll remove, sir. Captain. Onward. Captain. March. Joining forces.
Okay. We've got our emissary in Arab Gobel. We'll bring him down. And I want to keep an eye on this settlement in particular, because Rune usually goes for this. We do need to get this for our victory conditions, as well as this and this. But other than that, I think our victory conditions are pretty wide open. Yeah, it's just our homelands plus those three. So we've got a lot of freedom in that regard. All right, so the garrison here is looking largely the same, but we're not quite close enough to start the attack. Get some more foresters just in case we need them. We're making 1,300 a turn. It's better than I expected. We could use it pretty much all right now for hosting halls. But I think I'll wait for him to get attuned. The attuned governor trait appears after a few turns that a governor has been in a settlement. So once we have that, I think that will give us some discounts to construction. All right, let's see if we can get some trade going with Rhovanion. And we'll also ask for some money. 4,000 this time. All right, they give us 4,000 and an alliance. And what if you give us 2,000? All right. I was not expecting that. Let's check the diplomacy. They are not at war with anybody, but they weren't allied with anyone either, so that's quite nice. Now, again, we'll see how this develops. I'd like to get an alliance with North Rune, I think, as soon as we attack the dwarves here. So with that cash, maybe we can go ahead and go with the hosting halls or one of these other buildings. But let's save our money now. We'll go with the animal husbandry and fishing rights. That's eventually going to give us some good buildings. All right, the dwarves want trade. Yeah, sorry, dwarves. We're going to be attacking you very soon. I could have gotten some money off of them there, probably, but I didn't feel like risking the reputation. All right, they have not trained a single dwarven unit yet. We're going to go ahead, attack them, and lay them under siege. And we lost our alliance with Dale. Well, we're still trading with them, and they still gave us a bunch of money, so they're not going to be able to take that away. We'll just build a bunch of stuff, and then we will bring our skirmishers over. We've got some more here in the settlement. I may leave them here, because I don't know that we'll need them, honestly. We've got a pretty big army. We've already got 1, 2 units of skirmishers, 1, 2, 3 archers. And a decent amount of cav, I think. So, well, yeah, let's bring him. I guess the dwarves could sally.
Yes, master. On my way. On my way.
All right, now I could have sworn they had another unit
Is assured.
somewhere out here in the wilderness. I'm not seeing it yet. All right, he's not attuned yet, but he is the Lord of Western Rhovanion, so that'll come shortly. Let's, in the meantime, let's go for the muster field here, and we'll train some stuff in Arab Gobel. All right, so we were not attacked by the dwarves, not feeling strong enough to sally, apparently. And I'm not seeing their other unit anywhere. I swear they had 2 hireling units, as well as the ballista and the family member that's down here, but that's not showing up. Okay, so Rhovanion has attacked North Rune, and Dale is at war with us. Now, so far they haven't actually done anything, but we do need to get moving on this. We could assault, but I'd rather not. I guess we should, though. Otherwise, we're just going to be waiting 8 turns. It's going to take a long time. So, we've got an ally in Rhovanion, and we've got these 2 enemies. Now, Dale joined the dwarves, again, most likely simply because that's the way they're coded to behave. They join each other in their wars. That doesn't mean that they're not going to come down here and attack us. So, we may want to have an emissary in the area, and certainly some units. So let's get, let's see. I guess it would be good to have another forester unit up here. And we are working on military up there as well.
Captain,
Let's see.
engage the enemy.
Yeah, I think we've got 3 siege towers. That might be enough. Let's assault. All right, and we are set up here outside the walls of Nereg Zigil. Looks like there is a unit just over here inside the settlement itself, but we can safely approach right here. And then we want to get our other towers moving over here as well. There is only a single gate in these dwarven settlements, just one entrance, and one path over. There's a sort of a chasm that a bridge leads across, and you have to go through that one way. But we can steal the towers and sort of use them against the defenders, and then we can bring our military through. But yeah, it doesn't look like they're currently defending the walls, which is very good. So we'll speed this up and rejoin when our troops get in position.
It will be hard fighting to break the defenses.
All right, so we've got our axemen on the walls here. We'll just bring them around the entire settlement here. The idea is we want to capture all of these towers so that we can march through unopposed, and also maybe get some hits in on the defenders.
Our soldiers have done well with...
And finally, we've got enough to safely bring our troops up through the gate. We can see here that the defenses consist of this long bridge, and this is the only passage across, and from here we'll want to go around along the streets here up to the central court. Now, they do have a ballista here, which is actually shooting at my axemen who are running along capturing towers. Otherwise, in the center of the plaza, it looks like just hireling guards, and of course their Durin's Guard unit. And so hopefully we can do some damage to them before we need to come into melee range. So to that end, we're bringing our skirmishers and everybody up first, and then we'll follow up with the cav. Oh, and we actually killed the enemy general thanks to the towers. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right, well, that's one way to take care of the dwarves. Steal their towers. Okay, I see. I thought something like that might work, but I didn't know it would work that well. So, they've only got this single unit of Durin's Guard left. Quite a sad showing for the dwarves. Just beaten by these scruffy Northmen. Well, all right. We'll see if we get any kills with our ranged troops. course, our archers aren't going to do much, but we do have some foresters here that may be able to get some kills with their javelins. Currently, they are all set to skirmish away. Except for my cav. We'll run the cav in. There he goes. Alright. Well, again, quite surprised at the effectiveness of that. Let's bring the skirmishers up to within range here, and we will start hitting the guys who are defending the square. All right, they are getting some ballista shots in. But after a few kills... Oh, they're going to catch us for sure with those hirelings. I should have paid attention to skirmish more. Alright, so we'll run these guys out of here if possible. Archers are not quite within range. Alright, let's focus everybody on the hireling guards with the missiles. And now the crew are coming out. I guess they've used up all the ammunition. So we'll see what we can do to whittle them down. Alright, let's hit them all with our cav. This is not good. Our cav is not going to be certainly very effective in the city streets here, but we've got a lot of them, and they are doing some damage. Alright, there they go. So we can probably give the hireling guards a similar treatment. Lure them down with our ranged units, and swarm them with our cavalry. Alright, we've pulled them down from the square a little bit. They are tearing through our missile units, but I think we can make some good headway with a cav charge. Of course, these are anti-cavalry units. There we go. So they've routed. We can end the battle right here. Clear victory. We lost over 200 men. But it did get us the settlement, and if my experience is a good guide to this, we shouldn't have to fight the dwarves for it again. Typically, the dwarves, because they are something of a passive faction on the campaign map, even if they have troops in the area outside a settlement, will leave and go garrison a settlement that they already own, rather than trying to take back one that they've lost. So we'll just occupy here. There's not really a lot to be gotten by expelling the populace or laying it desolate. And what we want to do quickly is try to arrest the quickly declining population. And of course, that's still going to be quite a big problem. So we can destroy some things and make a lot of money here. This dwarven construction is a sort of a cultural conversion building for the dwarves. We don't need that. Let's see. The control posts, that's their military building. We can get rid of that as well. Trade houses are good. That's like a trader building, of course. We can benefit from that. And the waypost as well. These dwarf hordes, there are 2 of them here. And what we can do is destroy them for a one-time gain of 20,000 Mirian each. So between the 2, that would be 40,000 we could make. I don't feel the need to do that right now, but it's something we definitely want to remember for the future. And maybe we'll want to do it to offset the cost of establishing managed population here, which will be this building, which will be quite expensive. But first we want to get rid of the Homeland Dominion building. This is something that we're going to have to build our own version of. So we'll do that right now. Now the only option for building is provincial pacification, which we will certainly do. Then we'll build our own Homeland Dominion. Then we'll be able to convert the population from managed lands to, I think, Eastern Rhovanion or something along those lines. So that's the plan for the future of Nerig Zagil. Well, I think this is a good point to stop our first episode. We are at war with a couple of factions. We do have an ally, and we have carved out a new realm, or a new province at least, for ourselves in this dwarven mountainous region. Eventually, we can look at the military development we can get here. Tier 1 will bring us hillmen levies, Tier 2 hillman axe levies, and Tier 3 some of our lowest tier native units, but also the all-important mountain guards. These are I believe a hammer-wielding, very heavily armed, effective against armor unit that is going to be an incredible boost to our front line if we can get to them. However, even at the early levels, hillman levies are not particularly great, but they're okay at garrison. Hillman axe levies, though, are better than you might expect. So they've got throwing axes in addition to the axe and shield that they wield in melee. Pretty low upkeep, pretty decent unit size. We're going to have to grow the population here quite a bit, but if we can get that going, then even the Tier 2 military development is going to give us a nice boost to our lineup. So that's the plan for the coming decades. It'll take a long time to convert this, but thank you for watching this first episode of our Rhovanion campaign. We'll see how well this works and if we'll need to abandon it and try a completely new strategy. But until the next one, take care.